Hello and welcome to another short drawing lesson. This week we're going to try and draw what Enzo Ferrari said was the most beautiful car in the world, the Jaguar E-Type. So the first thing we'll do is a front wheel over here. Try to draw nice and lightly to start with. The next wheel will be 1, 2 and a quarter wheels further back. If you can do a round wheel, that's always good. Next we'll do the bottom of the car, which is quite high up, I suppose. A bit higher than you'd expect. It's a bit higher than halfway between the middle of the wheel and the ground. So just a horizontal lining there. For the front of the car, which will be over on the left here, we need the height of the bumper, which is just a little bit higher than the middle of the wheel. So you can do a horizontal line, and you can extend it this way because we'll use that later. The tops of the wheels are actually inside the arches, so you can trim those off slightly with a curving line. And that actually gives you the height for the rear bumper as well, a horizontal line faintly sticking out the back here. So we'll do those bumpers now. So at the front, we want 3/4 of a wheel sticking out in front. You can do a overrider and a very slim ellipse for a bumper. At the back, we want 1 wheel further back, so they do the overrider a distance of 1 wheel further back. And again, that very slim ellipse for the bumper. Now we can do the underside of the front and back. We need a slight sort of straight area, which is where the intake will be, the air intake, and then you can do a curving underside that leads towards this horizontal line at the bottom. At the back, you've got the same kind of thing again. You've got a slight straight section, and then it turns and it heads towards this point here. Don't go down here, otherwise you'll end up with too fat a tail. It wants to be quite a slim thing, so you want this line to head towards this point. Something like that. Now we've got the tricky part, which is the top edge. So we're going to start here. We're going to curve to a high point above the front wheel, which will be about a bit less than this distance from the middle to there, sort of, I don't know, about here. So it's going to curve from there over there and then drop down towards the back. That's your first long curve. The back one will start at this point here. Remember when we measured 1 wheel and 2 wheels and then we had a bit extra? This is where the rear arch is going to start, and that needs to be higher at its high point than the front one. And the high point is just slightly in front of the middle of the back wheel, so you just want to make sure that you end up sort of up here somewhere and then just arc nicely into that tail. Something like that. That's your basic body shape for any type, I think. And we'll put the light in. So a bit further back than halfway between the wheel and the front of the car is where the headlight will be. Just a little thing like that, and it's set into an ellipse sort of thing, a cutout. We can now do our door. So the rear edge of the door, it's got a slight curve on it. Remember this line here, that's our bottom edge for all of these things. The door's about the size of a wheel, and then there's a slight gap, and then you've got the back edge of the bonnet. Now we've got the front edge of the door. We can come back from there slightly and drop in our windscreen pillar with a curving bottom, a slightly more sloping screen, something like that, and you can bring the bonnet up to meet that. And now we can add things like the roof, fold it up on the back. There's a horizontal piece of trim that levels up the top of the door. There's a steering wheel, console, rear view mirror, you might see that in there, and a mirror there as well. There's a door handle and a badge. And we ought to add the floor, would be a good idea, so it's not floating. And now we've got a floor. We can show the wheels on the far side of the car as well. Give it a bit of depth. Underneath the car you'd see just a hint of the exhaust. We can darken things up now that we know we've got roughly our proportions correct. We've got the rear exhaust sticking out here. And I'm going to darken the floor as well to make it look more like a shadow. One thing I ought to do is just tidy up these arches. We haven't really finished those off. So they arch across the top and then they turn and drop more vertically. So now I'm just going around the drawing, just adding a few sort of nice strong dark points every now and again in this sort of darkest areas, just to make the drawing look nice really. And add a bit of shading to things that could be black, like the roof, steering wheel. That's pretty much it. Hope you found that interesting, quite a tricky one. And hopefully you've got something that looks a bit like an E-Type. Tune in again soon for another one, next week hopefully, and let me know in the comments if there's a particular thing you'd like me to try next, and I'll see what I can do.